Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. So I decided to make a video today that is kind of totally out of character for me, and I'm going to put it out there on YouTube in YouTube land and share it with whoever wants to hear my story. So I haven't been creating art in the last 4 weeks because I had elective cosmetic surgery. I had a tummy tuck, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and I want to tell you the pros and cons of what I've experienced, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a backstory just to kind of explain my journey a little bit. So where do I begin? At the age of 20, I got married and was married 23 years and had my 2 sons. And had 2 C-sections and went through a divorce, and there was a lot of trauma through that marriage and a lot of negative image talk about my body and so forth in that marriage that really wounded me. And so I've always felt like I wasn't quite good enough as far as my physical body. And so what I did is I started after I had my children, and I was 28 years old when I had my kids. So I am now 58 years old. So fast forward 30 years later. And I did a lot of emotional eating. Let's just put it that way. So, over 30 years, I gained quite a lot of weight. Now, I am 5'9", so I'm tall, and tall people can get by with more stuff as far as weight goes and clothes and hiding things. And I wore a lot of black. I still like to wear black, but a lot of black to try to camouflage, you know. And so I had, and through these 30 years, in the last decade and a half, I've had issues with a son who has struggled with addiction, and he's doing good right now, but that caused a lot of stress and trauma in my life for many years, probably about 15 years. And so I found myself just becoming bigger and bigger in my weight, and I had high blood pressure. I was majorly depressed and on medications for that, high cholesterol, borderline diabetic, sleep issues, the whole 9 yards, and just a real wreck physically. And a little history on my family. My father died in his sleep of an aneurysm back several years ago, and my mother had a stroke in her 60s and lived with the after effects of that, which she was partially paralyzed for over 15 years or 20 years with that, and had breast cancer and bounced back from that. And then she passed away in 2020. It was kind of a sudden thing, and it was pretty much heart issues, and the breast cancer had quietly spread through her bones of her body, and she was covered in cancer, which was only discovered after she had fallen and hit her head, and they did all the complete scans. So even though she had had a great mammogram, her cancer came back with a vengeance and covered her body. So she passed of heart issues and breast cancer and that kind of thing. So I have a lot of family history of that. And so I took it upon myself 7 years ago in 2015. I had the gastric bypass. And I'm going to give you numbers and everything. I'm going to be very transparent about this. It's not something I'm happy about. I'm not proud of, but I just want to share, because this testimony and this little video may help you decide on a few things about your health or just what you're going through or whatever. I always want to help and lift people up and give them hope. So I decided to have the gastric bypass in 2015. I had remarried in 2014 to my husband, Greg, and finally had some support. Oh, I lost a second husband to cancer as well during a short period of time prior to my mother passing and so forth years ago. I lost a second husband to cancer, and so that was extremely traumatic. So I just ate myself silly. And so in 2015, after remarrying again and getting some stability and a great husband who loves and supports me every step of the way, I had the gastric bypass. And my experience with that was textbook perfect. I had absolutely zero complications. And great surgeons in Cary, North Carolina, because I live in Garner, North Carolina. And the surgeons were fabulous. They have the top of the line facility type thing, robotic surgery, laparoscopic. So it just went perfectly, and the weight fell off of me. And I started probably at around 270 was my highest weight. And when I went in for surgery, I was probably around 235, 240. And I lost 100 pounds within the first 6 months. It just really, literally fell off of me. It just melted off of me every week. And I had weeks where I didn't lose weight and weeks where I really lost a lot of weight. You're basically going into starvation mode. So that was a beautiful experience. It kind of changed my life. It took away my high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, blood sugar issues, all that stuff. So I can put another little video out about that maybe later on, but just letting you know that that was a tremendous and wonderful experience for me, and I will sing praises of gastric bypasses all day long. It literally changed my life as far as my health goes, and so I am extremely grateful for that process. So yes, I cheated and I had the surgery, but I had dieted and could never lose weight, and sometimes you just need an intervention, and that was the best thing for me, and it was a success. And I know there's a lot of failures out there. I know there's bad things that happen. I know some people lose a lot of weight on the gastric bypass and they put it all back on. So there's all kinds of stories, and everybody can have their opinion, but I'm just saying what my personal story has been great. So, fast forward to 2020 when COVID hit and everything shut down. My mother passed away the month after COVID started, not from COVID, but from her heart issues and the cancer and so forth. And she passed away by herself in a nursing home, and it was very traumatic for me because she was in a different state. I couldn't see her. I couldn't speak to her on the phone because after she fell, she couldn't talk. And so it really sent me into a downward spiral as far as just some depression and things that I've struggled with for years. And it just really took me down. And I got back into some crazy and bad eating habits, just junk food and sweets and things that I have always loved and can still eat with the gastric bypass. It doesn't faze me as far as making me sick or anything, but I got out of my habit in 2020, and I started really just going off the deep end with my eating and weight gain, and just being kind of how everybody felt during COVID, is just being kind of in a bubble where you weren't out with the world and everything else. So I continued to create my art through all of that, but emotionally I was just in a really, really bad way and in a funk, and so I gained about 25 or 30 pounds back, and so I was really concerned that I wouldn't be able to get it off. And so fast forward to 2022, I had a consultation on the first of the year in January with Dr. Brian Coan, and he is chiroplastic surgery in Cary, North Carolina. I had a consultation with him. He's been on the doctor's show. He was featured as doing a full body makeover for a man that lost a couple hundred pounds on his own. And my bariatric surgeons recommended this plastic surgeon. So I had a meeting with him, and I was back at 194 when I walked into his office, and not proud of myself, because I had gotten down to 135 at the lowest for my gastric bypass, and that was really too low for a 58-year-old 5'9" woman. 135 pounds for me was just, I was very emaciated. I was too thin, and it just, I kind of went into this pancake mode. Everything turned into pancakes. So I actually had gotten up to around 160 or 65, which was around where I was pretty content being. That was right where my body had stayed level for 5 years after the surgery. So I knew exactly what to do and how to do it, except for the fall off the wagon situation in 2020 during COVID. So in January, I met with Dr. Coan, and we talked about doing a tummy tuck or an abdominoplasty, a tummy tuck, and liposuction. And because I'm an apple girl, I have I have some flab, yes I do, but I have thinner arms and thin legs, and all my weight goes to my chest and my middle. I'm an apple-shaped person. When I was young, I was just stick straight. I didn't really have a waist or anything, and now that I'm older, everything just goes to my middle, which is the worst kind of body type you can have, because it's very dangerous for your health. It affects your heart and everything. And with everything that happened with my mother, and I have a sister that has health issues with her heart, I decided I was going to have a consultation about having a tummy tuck. And so I met with Dr. Coan in January. And of course, when he had all the pictures I had put into his portal on his website, and of course I looked like a big balloon. And he said, you really should try to be kind of close to your optimal weight, or where you're pretty content being, and know that you want to stay there. And I told him I understood, and that's, I would try extremely hard to take some weight off between then and the surgery. So they scheduled my surgery date for April 27th, which was 4 weeks ago yesterday. And I told him I would really work hard to do what I could to get some weight off. And I also have my son's wedding on Easter Sunday. A lot of stress, a lot of things happening, and a lot of activities and food situations, that kind of thing. But before the surgery date, when I walked into surgery, I weighed, I think, 183. So I got off about 10 or 11 pounds since the first of the year. So I got down to 183 when I went in on the day of surgery. And the surgery was done in his building. His whole building is dedicated to his business. He has an operating suite in there that he can do his surgery. And mine was not a severe enough case to have to go and do it in a hospital, so we did it there in his building. And I did not have anything go down my throat. It was by an IV sedation. And I let them know that I suffer tremendously with nausea from any kind of anesthesia. So they hooked me up for all that. And the surgery took about 4 to 5 hours. And I woke up with absolutely no nausea, which was a blessing. And because I do not like to get sick after having the gastric bypass, I really can't get sick. I just kind of dry heave, and that's not a fun experience for anybody when you're feeling nauseated and you dry heave for hours. It's only happened a few times since I've ever had the surgery, and it was when I was dehydrated. And so they got me hooked up, no nausea. I went home the same day. My husband took care of me, and literally had to, because they put you in a really tight compression garment that goes, it's like straps over you. I've got it on under my clothes, and I'll show pictures at the end of the video. But it's a compression garment that kind of goes around your chest and down over your hips and thighs, and it's to compress you. And then they also put foam under the compression garment, so it's a really, really tight thing. But that foam and the compression is what keeps you from bruising and other things like that. So, and it's extremely important to wear your compression garment throughout the whole process up until your at least 6 weeks visit. And then you should even wear it after that if you really want the best optimal results. So I went home the same day, and I'm not saying that it was pleasant feeling. It's a very tight feeling, like you're being stretched, because they take out a chunk of a big chunk from above your belly button and down to your pubic area. They take it, they remove it, cut it out. In my situation, it was about 7 pounds or so of flesh, just flesh. Crazy. And then the lipo, they did liposuction in my belly area and on my back, just between the bra and my waistline. He did some liposuction back there because I had a little extra fluff in that area, and he wanted just to refine me a little bit. So there just lipo in the back and the full tummy tuck and lipo in the front. And they also will stitch your muscles back together like a corset and get it really nice and tight, because what I had from the 2 C-sections was destroyed as far as my muscles go. And so he put that all back together. There's internal stitches along the wound, and the wound goes right down at the pubic area all the way across and around the sides of my hips. And so it's 26-inch long incision, a wound. And of course you're numb after the procedure, and I am still numb 4 weeks out. I still am numb in the middle of my stomach and still a little bit in my back. So that really kind of helps with you not feeling a lot of stuff. But I've had absolutely no pain at all since the surgery. Just an uncomfortable feeling at times, but no pain, which is just mind-blowing to me. And absolutely not one bruise on my body. And that's just really hard to believe, that he did this liposuction and all this hard work with all the stretching of my skin and everything, and not a bruise on my body. Okay? Miraculous. And they also put 2 drains in at the very base of the everything, and the drains stay in for 2 weeks, and you have to just measure it out each day and watch that, because that helps them see how you're healing internally, to make sure you don't have any internal swelling that gets out of control. You don't want any pulmonary embolisms, no blood clotting, or anything that's going to be a danger to your health. So I stayed on top of all that. Your wound, every day you will clean your wound. You will put we use bacitracin, which is like an antibiotic ointment, and I put it over my wound. But there are no stitches on the outside. It's stitched internally, and then they use a glue over the actual incision. So very clean and neat. Just, tiny little puckers here and there, but I'm just so elated with the whole thing. It's just, like I said, totally miraculous. So just wound care is really important, to keep it nice and clean and free from germs and that kind of thing. And your belly button gets kind of relocated, and he had to do that with me. And you just take care of it, you clean it, you put the ointment and that kind of stuff. And I went back the very next day after the surgery, and when he undid the compression garment and the foam and took everything off, I bawled like a baby. I mean, I literally wept. It was so amazing, the results just the day after. And actually, when you're recovering, you're swollen a little bit, and the swelling goes down gradually over time, kind of quickly in the first month or two or so, and then up to a year, the swelling will still go down. So I was like, this is good just right now, but I'm still going to be working on my weight and everything. But I can say today, 4 weeks later, I'm down to 171 pounds. So I've lost about 12 pounds from surgery day 4 weeks ago already. But what it did was it also triggered me. Once you have this really tight feeling, and the whole important part of after surgery, and to be able to take any pain meds, which I had pretty much was hydrocodone, which is Tylenol with codeine. And mine was in a liquid form because I had the gastric bypass. So I only took it in the morning and at night. I only took it twice a day. I didn't take it every 4 to 6 hours like you can do. I just didn't need it. It gave you kind of a dopey feeling, and it made you rest probably a little bit more when you took it. But I really did not have a pain level where it justified doing anything more than that. And I was finished with the pain meds within 2 weeks, and went for my 2-week checkup and had a great checkup. And here I am 4 weeks out, and I am just flabbergasted and elated with the results. And what it did was it kind of put me back on that thing too, when you've had a gastric bypass and when you kind of fall off the wagon and you maybe gain 30 pounds or something like that, it is possible to always use the tool you were given from your surgery of having the gastric bypass, or even the gastric sleeve, is you just go back and you up your protein, you lower your carbs and sugar, you just eat cleaner, healthier, and the weight will come back off, and it has, and that's what's been happening with me. But I just wanted to let you know that so the only kind, you cannot lay on your sides at all. It's just not comfortable. So you have to continually be on your back. So I have a reclining couch, and that's what I have sat in or laid back in the whole time since my surgery. I did buy compression socks that go up your legs like knee highs, and I wore those just because I had a little swelling at my ankles for just a little bit, maybe a week out of the 4 weeks. I had about a week I had a little bit of fluid retention in my ankles. So I had compression socks for that, but it's very important to get up and walk every hour or so and to be a little bit active. You're not supposed to do anything strenuous. You're not supposed to lift. You're not supposed to exercise or do anything like that right away, because you've got to let your body rest and gain back the strength and let your body heal. It's been majorly traumatized by the surgery that you've had. Even though I don't feel like it's been traumatized, I know internally my body has been traumatized. And so I've been really strict about not doing anything. I have literally rested, and I mean rested without doing anything but watching TV and sleeping for 4 weeks. And today I actually painted for the first time, which felt really good. I just did a small painting that took me an hour or two. But I've been out a few times to the store. I've gone to a restaurant or two. And, you continue to wear your compression garment, and that keeps everything nice and tight and tucked in. And, you're supposed to be really careful. Like if you have children or pets, you've got to be really careful about staying safe and away from anybody possibly running and jumping on your lap or, accidentally bumping into your anything. So if you have children, that's something you need to consider. I'm 58 years old. My children are grown and gone, so I don't have to worry about that. So it's very important to be super safe and to let your body have the time to heal. So I will go back to his office in 2 more weeks for a 6-week checkup, and then I'll go back at a 3-month checkup. And I'm going to record the update for both of those, just so you can see the progress of what's going to happen. I'm going to make a little playlist that I may add some videos to that is about this particular experience for me. And I'm hoping that someone, you know, if they're thinking about it, you don't ever want to do this. If you're going to have children, you want to make sure you're done with childbearing. You also want to be pretty consistent at a particular weight for a lengthy period of time, at least a year. If you had the gastric bypass or sleeve or anything, you need to be pretty close to your goal. So like right now, I'm within 5 to 10 pounds of my goal weight. And because you don't want a lot of extra pounds on and to have this and then not look super great. So this was also something that I struggled with. Do I tell the public or do I not? Because I'm not a vain person, as far as I don't feel like I want to have anything done to my face or my chest or my butt, which is totally flat. I have a flat butt. I've always had a flat butt. But this tummy tuck was for me because I felt like I had been carrying around a child because of the flesh that hung over from my C-sections. I felt like I had been carrying a child, even with the weight loss surgery. It was stressful on my back and everything else. And I thought, you know, these are my golden years coming up, and I wanted to really do something for myself that I could really enjoy and be proud of being in the skin that I've been in. You know, I had a lot of times through the years up into my 40s when, you know, this is prior to my gastric bypass, because I didn't have my gastric bypass till 7 years ago. So I was 51 when I had my gastric bypass. Up into my 40s, people would ask me if I was pregnant. And it just over time, when people keep asking you things like that, it just eats away at your self-confidence. It makes you feel so low about yourself. And like I said, things that happened in my past years, previous marriage, the things that were said to me about my weight and my body, just tore me up and destroyed my self-confidence and my worth and everything. So this was something I wanted to do for myself, and of course for my husband, you know, just because he deserves to see the real me, not the me with the baggage. And so I wanted to make this video just to kind of explain what I had been doing in the last month, why I had not posted any videos. And definitely, like I said, this is not a comfortable thing. I'm sitting straight up. I'm not leaning back, because when I lean back, you get a little tension, you know. So if you stretch, or when you're walking, you'll walk the first week or two after the surgery hunched over. And I still, anytime I've been sitting for any length of time and I get up, I kind of start walking hunched over. And I have to tell myself, straighten up, girl. And when you actually straighten up, it actually feels better. It relieves the tension in your back. Your back gets really tight. Those muscles, you know, just want to tense up because you've been sitting and resting for long periods of time. And when you stretch, it's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's nothing painful. And that's been the beauty of it. And so, you know, I'd say I moved to my bed finally after 4 weeks in the recliner. And the bed, the first night or two, was a little bit weird. And it was only because sometimes you get these little prickly feelings, but it's not prickly in a painful way. It's your nerve endings. And, you know, they've had a lot of action from that surgery. And so, you know, everybody's different. Somebody might have a lot of like shooting pains. I haven't had any shooting pains. It's just like a little bit of a tingling sensation. And like I said, I'm still kind of numb. So it's a little numb, a little tingling, but it's not anything painful. It's absolutely doable and bearable. And I am so grateful that I got to do this. I really am. Now, it was not cheap, but it is worth every penny for me. So, what I wanted to show you, let me get a sip here. I am wearing the shirt that I went into the office the day of my surgery. I'm wearing this shirt, and I wanted you to see this because I bought this shirt in order to go to the doctor's office because I didn't have any button-up shirts that I could wear that fit my belly at the time 4 weeks ago. So I had to go to Walmart and pick up a shirt that buttoned up the front because you were supposed to wear something that buttoned up the front, and like loose sweatpants. I didn't have any sweatpants. I had to buy sweatpants. But I want you to see the difference that 4 weeks has made in my life from this surgery. Remember, I'm an Apple girl. So here is the shirt, and it's buttoned right now. Okay? So I just want you to see the space. When I wore this to the doctor's office to have my surgery, I could not button these last 2 buttons. This one here and this one here. My stomach was big enough to where I could not button those hardly. So look how big that was. All right. So I have a compression garment on underneath, which has some ripples and stuff. It's got zippers that go all the way up the side. It's got straps that go up here that can be adjusted. And there is a crotch opening so you can use the bathroom. But I'm going to take this off and turn sideways. Do you see that? And I'm a little bit swollen, but look at that. Can you see how straight that is and flat? So I wore that big shirt just so I could show you how much fat and fluid and skin and all is gone. I am just beside myself. It is just amazing. So the one bit of advice I can give you is if you decide to do this at a point in your life that you have time to rest and take advantage of the situation and heal properly. Don't do it if you're planning on having any more children. Wait till after your children are grown or, semi-grown. You have to have somebody that's going to help you at least the first 2 weeks. And I mean, be there constantly. My husband works from home and he was able to do it. But if you have a husband that works and is not there, then you need a friend or a family member to be with you. And I did pass out the day after, 2 days after surgery. And the reason I passed out was I wasn't getting enough fluids and I was slightly dehydrated and I passed out. So you have to get your fluids in. You have to eat with your pain meds or you will get nauseated. I never got nauseated. I did get nauseated, and it was because I wasn't getting enough food with my nausea medicine. So you have to follow the doctor's orders and pick your doctor wisely. Do a lot of homework on your physician and make sure you get the best, because this is a serious surgery and it can be, life-threatening if you don't have good hands taking care of you. And I do believe in the power of prayer. And I prayed so hard for this surgery to be a success, and my expectations were exceeded. I am just so blissfully happy. So I will list my doctor and his office and phone number and everything below the video. And feel free to email me. I'll put my email below. If you want to email me and ask me any questions, you can. If you have something negative to say, please don't say it. I'm just going to pass it by because this was my choice. After 30 years of dealing with the extra skin, I made this choice. I posted a post on Facebook, and I had nothing but 100% positive feedback from everybody. When I was recovering from my surgery, I had so many people that were so very supportive, and that meant the world to me. And I want to be supportive and positive for somebody else that might go through this or want to go through this. I don't want negativity. You know, I'm just at a point in my life where I don't need negativity. So if you don't have something good to say, I know that there are surgeries, and I found out a few weeks before my surgery that someone's friend had passed away from a pulmonary embolism from tummy tuck. But she also had some health issues. And I didn't have the health issues. I just had, you know, some extra pounds on me. But it's got to be a wise choice. You've got to really think it through and do the best thing that's for you. And I hope that this video will enlighten some people if they're, you know, just curious about it or whatever. I'm going to post, probably it's just going to be a silhouette of the side of my torso. I'm actually in my underwear, so I'll probably make it just like a black silhouette, just to show you how big my stomach was before the surgery. And then I'm going to post a picture of me in my compression garment sideways, so you can see the difference in just 4 weeks. And it will get better, because I'm going to take off probably another 5 or 10 pounds, and the swelling will go down, and just with exercise and movement and everything else, and things will get better than they are right now. So I can't even wait. I can't even imagine. So I'll add that in a later video in a couple of weeks. I'll add my 6-week checkup. I'll add my 3-month checkup, and we will share with you the results. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I've missed everybody. I love you all. Thanks for following me. And keep being a bright, shining light in people's lives. I love you all, and I hope that I can bless somebody here today. Bye-bye.